Good morning, Tanse, Tawao. I'm David Williamson, and I'm going to be reading through Disassembled Houses, Perfect Stones, a 10-poem selection on fading boundaries of ontology, territory, and family with the Association of Literature, Environment, and Culture in Canada Conference. I want to thank the organizers for putting this opportunity together to do this virtually. I'm in beautiful Kindess, or Norway House in Northern Manitoba, and I'll be talking a little bit about how geography and culture shape poetic voice. In writing in the oral tradition, Gerald Visner tells us that words are in the air, in our blood, in the fish and animals, where they have been since we first came to this place. As such, poetry becomes a ceremony of self-creation and self-determination. But it isn't fabrication or always fiction. It can be part discovery, part cartography, poetry as the crow flies. The first poem is called A Frost-Crusted Pop. Following the erosion of cracked imagery on crooked page, I snowshoed to the mouth of the river past. The crisp sight, the fox patrols, past, the comfort of language past, the abandoned trading post, the graveyard of starved Cree, past no words, bouncing sounds through sights of empty names, still air through tamarack, blank drifts through jackpine, my tongue a rock starving my own mouth. Worn, I paused against a frost-crusted poplar, shifted weight, tightened my stance, my ungloved fingers thawed, thin, smooth grooves in her old skin. What memory communes in her pulp, when she last felt lonely, human, hands pressing flesh. Young snows reclaim the lines which led me here, figures drafting meaning to silence. A breeze startled snow off one branch, her roots nudging me home, make old tracks towards a new page. The wind whistled through the gaps in me, her own pocket home. This next poem is titled with the coordinates of Kindess, the geographic coordinates, or Norway House. It's a community which is accessible by ice bridge in the winter and ferry in the summer, and for about 8 weeks we're landlocked. So the airport plays an important role, and this is a poem that describes them. Our airport is small, smells slightly of burnt fabric insulation. Sometimes the planes don't land. Doctors stay another night, far from Thai restaurants, their children, jazz. Here it snows in April and May, sometimes June, usually September. We don't have an insurance agent. Truck registration renewals are sent out by plane, sometimes. Returned in a box to be retrieved, or left. Dozens of envelopes waiting overnights. I note the names of people with whom to avoid collisions. A National Historic Site, now we have to send our future out to be born, our elderly to die. In between, sometimes we garden. Dust off the tools, retrieve from the soil, snare or angle our meat when the river strands us as well. We hope for specific seasons, change clinging to a coming day. Once the ferry reopens, we have the usual dreams, well-attended funerals, a new rumor, maybe a Thai place dimly lit, a beautiful waiter who doesn't yet know your name. I could mail myself air, but here, if the ferry runs, I would leave by truck, spend the day grounded, Tom T. Hall on the radio, arrive dusty, late, out of sorts, much like I departed. Sometimes our planes don't land. Most days we have running water. We have no train. We need no theater. Above us, ravens pause in the wind, shadows in the snow. Winter Road. April reminds us the river is not made of stone. She is more than winter roads to bring the outside in. February yawns through March. Today shudders, tomorrow's melt sink the highway, dissolves the inside left out. Old ice free drifts into another season, young water coaxing us to roam. Unmapped journeys long to stretch through boreal branches, ancestor breezes sing. Stories the land collected before others called them history. Under dancing green shimmers, glistened ripples tap the old skin of the night. On shores, lakes with empty names, spring in shallow breaths. A season of change, a season of same. Inside, left out, the river free, April reminds us. This next poem is about my daughter growing up in a family with an Indigenous mother in Nemawan and a non-Indigenous father, Mr. Gosling. And the desire, like many young people, to escape, to find her own way. This is called Lights and Hope for Daughter. 11:05 p.m. Escape is more than crossing rivers. Septembering nowhere towns, more than unknotting cutter scars under lace gloves. It is more than Jerome's hash pipe in the pocket of your knapsack. Less than his guitar, silent in your closet. 2:09 a.m. Back home, buzzing stars blind to a crescent moon, take lonesome root in dirt black sky. Golden green night whispers dance before tamarack orange autumn troop, the fall like childhood change spent summer. 3:51 a.m. Cookum's paper Jesus bookmark, a $50 bill, dried tiger lilies pressed into Cohen, Highway 6 south of 53, a half-white gray gosling spinning your hours away in a traveling neighborhood where everyone is homeless, hoping perhaps the next stop may claim one. 5:55 a.m. Begging others your quiet, these southern trees wear different costumes, hide in sleepy sunrises. You did not finish summer's dance. This road, a life prayer, you, blood river collected in bone bowl memory, more than a rope loophole for a guitar-playing boy named Jerome, his whispered breath clinging to your coattails still. 8:25 a.m. I need to know home. You text me. Around the time that I was writing these, I was discovering or exploring my relationship with the passing of my mother. Not so much with the relationship with my mother, but how her passing affected me and affected my relationship with my daughter and my family. So this is called Learning My Own Body. Somewhere between these words lies my mother's faith, a benign lump nestled in an obscure fold of flesh, undetonated. She wouldn't have liked that. An air of the sinister that can never work its way out of this version of the poem yet. I am an anatomy of others, inhabited in some parts by my mother's rustic order, her particular way in which nothing held a specific place, even in verse. Leaves unraked, another duty missed, abandoned to November's meager snow. On my mother's last morning, I drove by her childhood church, too late, the moment passed. My mother refused to be an actor in her own death, so I record it as it resides in me. This smoothing rough edges, a kind of devotion. A spectre lingering in the cavity of a heart wanders through vacated chambers. Carelessly fingers lines the dust, reminding me of the slow neglect of faith, of flesh, of memory. I am slowly learning to pearl, my mother's marrow mapped beneath my bones. At the piano in grandmother's front room. Small hands accompany mine, gracing knuckles. Shadow keys unlocked, music knows no age. The end of one verse summons the beginning of the next, like pages of an ancestral letter, passed, fingers to fingers to fingers. Grandmother to mother to daughter. The way day ushers night, no note holding the exact same memory. Crafting this act of passing, descendant seeds press the shell, shadows of skin shedding, shorn. This town our name returns to is an occasion. Buried bones birthing new stories born from the land. Today no earth remembers you. Maps clinging to shifting walls, threads sewing lines further west, settled, homesteaded, titled, vacated. Old land traded for newer old land. Till your grandfather's story, remains of ground broken, graying stones collected in corner fields of traded blood. No history lives in just one place. You remain one place long enough. Your past may leave you for another, more suited to memory. A song to follow. Hours later, in my childhood bedroom, your fingers sleeping in my beard, I hear you hum. My fingers trace dead names I smell in a Bible we learned to keep through disassembled houses of perfect stones. My wife's first language was Indian or Cree, and my daughter struggles with expressing herself in what we affectionately refer to as Kringlish, which is a mass of Cree and English all smattered together. This poem talks a little bit about the dichotomy of language and expression and identity. This one is called From the Womb. Your mother's tongue caresses the woods, shades of moss, pine, and tamarack winds, weaving blended light into sun. I kick my language around vacant lots, rolling it in clustered dust and broken sticks, bouncing it off cracked shadows. Your mother's language nourishes ballads, old men, children, carries an exact metaphor through so many histories like a red willow branch. My language starts wars with itself. Paper screens, dragged, kicking, leaving frantic claw marks on a page between bruised words. Your mother's language may pass in the arms of its own grandchild. Mine seeps, at first a dot of blood, staining natal soil, marking time, waiting to settle, spread. Yvonne Blomer from Caitlin Press has compiled a wonderful anthology of poems about watersheds entitled Sweetwater. And I believe the launch has already happened, and I participated in an online reading. And this is a poem that's included in that selection called Warren's Lake. Shelved between a red rose cardboard tea box of lead net weights, a jar jam with 4 worn sewing balls, sits a china blue teacup, 4 black bear teeth yellowing in the bottom. Your fish shack, a library, I cannot. Down shore, 8 Mile channel, carved to feed the hydro dam. Water beats forward a stilled river. Fur trade trippers, long past awakened souls, a fisherman on shore between ribs of an upturned yawl, mended nets on the rock, past regaining shape. Tall yellow grass shivered by, wind-swept whitecaps sway, winds changing colors. Killdeer's curee, 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 broken wing protector dance casts your granddaughter's shimmer. Tired spring. Your daughter sips old afternoon wood smoke tea. Canned milk memory dips into surface. Returning this fisher to the soil, in their small hands keep safe the knots you tied by water. This poem is entitled Song for Robyn, but the subtitle is nitayhi aski, which loosely translated means the heart of the earth. Grandfathers gathered stones among the fire. Midsummer rain tapped on poplar boughs slow, a half-sun rally. Grass dancers swept the ground. Circles dawning, followed drumming, threaded in the smoky August air. You snuggled between us, your mother and me, slipped into a dream as the sun began its yawn across the sky. I carried your kindled bones to the truck, wondered if you were still woven in the grass, the drums, dreaming smoke circles in your moonstone sky.
Doreen, can you call a friend or pick up line 1?
Doreen will pick up line 1, and I will finish with Through Disassembled Houses of Perfect Stones. You remain one place long enough, your past may leave you for another, more suited to memoir, a song to follow. Drawn from earth, surrendered, old mornings creep up trunks of ashes. Shiver young hours out of the veins of leaves, perch, waiting to fasten to new stories. It was harvest when you first left home. The tick tocks and tells you nothing. Faded ghost, follow that old settler road off the Yellowhead to an almost town where once your history lived. Behind fractured windows, a tourist in your own family album, toothless, your grandfather's stories cry for her scatterlings. A season out of step, years eat the memory out of history. Shifting seeds drift, scrub trees take back ground lost, land which forgets now how to yield. Time is a strange spider. Wildflowers thinly dusted follow under hushed breezes, chunks of lives straying through ribbons of indigo, mingled in old-letter words shared, each voice holding place, making there, here. The weight of history lies on the spine of memory. All history is translated. I thank you, and Eskamitno Ekasani. I want to thank the organizers for the Association for Literature, Environment, and Culture in Canada for allowing this event to continue on and for inviting us to participate virtually from all of the places across this great nation. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, and thank you very much for your time.